Well, this is terribly exciting, guys. Hi, hello, and welcome. This is what the kids call a Let's Play, because I'm allowing you to play with me, and that we're just playing video games. I'm Paul Nyhart. For the next 2 hours, we'll be going back and forth talking about the game industry. We'll be talking about this lovely game which I'm playing right now, which I'm updating, called MLB The Show. I know, a sports game.
Yeah.
Lame. Not quite. Throughout this program, we'll be talking about the merits of sports games, if you so like. I mean, heck, we could talk about politics if you prefer. Whatever you guys want to do. It's a Let's Play. It's an open forum to play games. I think you guys know how this works. And I'm not going to be giving away any prizes tonight because that's not how I roll. I'm not a very giving person. That's not why. We don't really roll that way here. But if you've never been here before, welcome. This is Twin Galaxies Live, where a bunch of people come in here and play games and all stuff and things. Stackling on, I believe, is asking, am I drunk? No, I have a Diet Hanson's drink. And I don't know if you know me. I'm actually always like this, unfortunately. So that's the business. So hi, hello, welcome. Someone says I feel like an idiot. That's still our boy Static leaning on. Yeah, it's okay. Listen, if you feel like an idiot, you're in the right place. You and I could be friends. So what I'm doing here, just to give you guys a good picture, so I'm going to start off with MLB The Show's Challenge of the Week. And what I'm going to do is try to beat this gentleman's score of 15 million points. I expect to do it quite swiftly. But basically what you do, it's like a home run derby challenge with a bit of a twist. So that's the scoop. Let's work the crowd here. Guru, it's been a while. I actually had the chance to meet Guru about 3 weeks ago here in the lounge. Moobot saying follow Clint Carney. I'm not Clint Carney. I think he's over there. You guys know Clint Carney, right? I don't. That's all right. So it's okay. We're just getting our hacks in here. I run a site called Stuff's Happening, which is about 6 hours old now. And yeah, we're going to go and take one there. It's about 6 hours old. It focuses on sports, gaming, and politics. It's the only site of its kind that does that. For those of you that aren't privy, I hosted a show called Game Talk Live for about 7 months. We revealed the H1Z1 game before anybody else. 5 day a week, 1 hour long video game talk show, which is borderline insane, but we did it nevertheless. So I know a fair amount about games. I don't know everything because I'm not Boogie, but I do know a fair amount. So if you guys want to debate anything, go back and forth. I mean, we'll probably end up arguing about something. I've been known to be fairly controversial. That was a pitch to hit. I'm not really knocking the ball out of the park. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I haven't played this game in quite some time, but that's okay. So that's going to be a ball. That's a great eye there. Yeah, I've got a couple editorials on there. I don't know where that ball is going. A couple editorials there on the game industry. Recently, EA, I believe it was yesterday, put out their access plan for the Xbox One, the exclusive where you pay. That's a ball. That's too high. Anybody ever... yeah, Guru, this is the second time. It might have been the second. Who is familiar with the access plan that Microsoft put out yesterday with EA? Basically, for $5 a month, you can get unlimited EA games. I think that one's got the distance. You put out unlimited EA games for $5 a month. The kicker, of course, these quote-unquote unlimited EA games, they're about a year old. That was gas. Yeah, and for me, I thought it was a very, very stupid idea. It's another way for EA to try to grab money from you, or particularly newer gamers. The 4 games for those, yeah, that's going to go all the way. The 4 games were Battlefield 4. Why isn't that carrying? Who am I even playing with? I don't know. That one I felt like should have gone the distance. Battlefield 4, which if you haven't bought that by now, you're never going to buy it. Madden last year, same old story. FIFA, and then the 4th one was Peggle 2, which actually is a somewhat underrated game, but it's Peggle 2. So for $5 a month, you get to play all those games, and that's the business. And I think that's stupid because, you know, to me, if you're EA and you want to get creative here, you want to try to get gamers involved, I think if you adopt a plan like Sony Online's plan for $20 a month and get unlimited games, so you're talking. This to me as another cash grab. So Guru sounds a pretty weak deal. Let's work the crowd here. Alley Cat, I'm going to throw this out here to get your thought. Girl gamers and go. Thought on girl gamers, or that members of the female sex that happen to play video games. I mean, if I have no problem with people who play video games. I think the whole idea of girl gamers is stupid, that it's blown out of proportion, and that we talk about gender misrepresentation and all that stuff. I think it's an issue that really is meant to meet quotas within the gaming industry. You get all these sites that are 24-hour gaming sites that have to create enough content, you know, to outdo the other sites because everyone's trying to make more content and all that. And then you have people that are on salary and they need them to write about something. So they, sure, it looks like girl gaming's a hot issue, so we'll write something controversial about it, saying, you know, like, there aren't enough female characters and go. And of course, everyone's afraid of being sexist, so they say, yeah, you're right. Before you know it, it's like this huge thing. Come on. Yeah, I mean, it seems like the game industry is still very male predominant, but I don't think, I don't think we should look at it in a way of just, you know, attacking every single game designer who happens to create a game with a male lead. So I think the market, oh, come on, that was a pitch to hit. I think the market will respond accordingly. And, you know, I look at, what was it, The Puppeteer, I think it was, where the game designer created something and they're like, why isn't this a male character? He's like, I don't know. Or female character. He's like, well, I don't know. Why should it be? And they're like, well, it's not a very good answer. And it's like, well, I don't even think about it. So, so let's see. Someone says, just let it go. Telebro. Well, anyway, I'm working the crowd here. Someone said something about girl gamers. I think they were kidding. But yeah. For those just tuning in, MLB The Show here. I'm just getting some hacks in. I'm here for another hour and a half, working the challenge mode. If you guys haven't played this game, you're probably not big baseball fans. But I'm handling things pretty well here. I'm trying to break the record of 15 million. I'm about 1/40th of the way. So stay tuned. Guru said it's tell her, bro, bring it. It's totally fine. If there's something else you'd want to talk about, then let's go big. But I mean, that's just one of the topics out there. I really don't want to talk about it because I think it's overdone. There's been a lot that's gone on really in the game. There really hasn't been that much that goes on in the gaming industry. It's just that every day these guys create so much content out there to beat things to death. You know, again, I hosted a 1-hour show for 5 days a week, and it was nuts. I would say in a given week, you really have anywhere from 2 to 3 stories that are really worth talking about in the game industry. Last week or 2 weeks ago, Cliffy B, guy that was gone for like 2 years making a video game. Worth talking about. I think this EA Access plan, it's worth talking about because it's EA doing exclusive... Oh, that was a pitch to hit. EA doing an exclusive deal with Xbox One. It's a way to perhaps push consoles or a model that's gaining some more steam. Sure, no pun intended. But I see all these leaked trailers and all that kind of stuff, like the Doom news from 2 weeks ago. I didn't really think was that huge of a deal. I mean, there wasn't even video footage. I don't know if anybody knows what I'm talking about, but at QuakeCon, a con that started with 30 people in like 1996, has grown to 10,000 people. Every single attendee was able to see a preview of the footage for the new Doom that's coming out. However, Bethesda didn't release it to the public. Yeah, I knocked the hell out of that one. Bethesda didn't release it to the public, but every single gaming site was reporting quotes of what people thought it looked like, which to me doesn't offer a whole heck of a lot of value. But to each their own. It's just, to me, I would rather not read that stuff. So, Telebro says, I'm a fan of sports games. Used to play a few NFL games for Sega. The best sports games of all time were created by Sega. NFL 2K. I think it was 2K5. Probably the best football game in the history of space and time. Sega, of course, is no more. So someone wants to talk. Guru wants to talk about Tell's lack of playing video games. Well, all right, that won't last very long. Guru doesn't like Bethesda. I don't know. I mean, I'm not one of those guys that really picks sides when it comes to game makers or really hates. Oh, that's it. That was it. So my score was 265. Not one of those guys that really sides with particular game makers. I think a lot of times it becomes overblown in terms of game makers, treating them like they're actual people or something that have traits. You can hate them or not. I do like Ubisoft. I like what they do. They seem like they could be like a very cool gaming company. They're making stuff for the Wii U. You can say what you like about it. You know, I still think Nintendo does a lot of really good things. I really enjoyed Mario Kart 8, so, a lot of people hate on them for reasons that are just weird. Yeah, I think Deep Silver is a publishing company, does a lot of cool stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, what makes you think Bethesda is stuck up outside of the fact that they just wouldn't release footage? For those just tuning in, we are talking about all kinds of gaming stuff. This is a Let's Play. This is Twitch Plays MLB The Show. So feel free to jump in at any time. Got a loading screen here. I'm going to actually get a game started. But, yeah, that's the business. Guru says the Bethesda stuck up because they wouldn't show gameplay footage of Doom. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's probably, to me, it seems like a game that's at least a year away. They probably don't have a whole heck of a lot to show. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but I mean, there's no word on the beta yet. If you pre-ordered Wolfenstein, I guess you have access to the beta, and they don't even give you a release date on it. Do I think Smash Bros. And Mario Kart are becoming more like sport games? I think sport games are becoming more like RPGs and MMOs. I think sport games are becoming more like mainstream games within the game industry. So, I don't know. I think Smash Bros. Is still a fighting game, and I don't know, is a racing game a sport game? Maybe, but it's really not. I mean, a sport game, I think, is MLB, The Show, Madden, FIFA, the big four. Racing, I still feel like, is its own genre. So we're going to go ahead and get a game going here. But I think what sport games are doing that I think is really interesting, and which is why I would soundly defeat any argument that sport games suck. The reason sports games suck in a lot of people's opinions is just because they don't like sports. And that's fine, but a sport game is inherently no different. They're becoming no different than League of Legends in a lot of ways. And more like, I don't know, maybe like a Skyrim where you take a character and you progress them through all these different levels. I want to play as the Reds, yeah. We progress them all these different levels, character customization, you level up. I mean, these are things that are relatively new in the in the sports world. It used to be you would just jump into a game and you'd play a franchise, and you might run that franchise or whatever, and try to win a couple of World Series. But now it's really about the focus is on taking one player from nothing, leveling them up to level like 80, and winning championship after championship with them, going online and taking on other people. Sure, it might be in baseball or basketball. NBA 2K15, whatever the heck it was, the recent one, did the same thing. There's a whole storyline with it. So I think sport games are becoming like RPGs, So there's Nick, right? So Nick got his haircut for this. So we're talking trades here. This is good. How ironic. Lackey to Els, neither of whom are on the Red Sox anymore. Oh, yeah. So there you go. So, yeah, I was just in the challenge mode. I was just playing Lackey. Just got traded to the Cardinals. Better than the Lester deal. I was very surprised at – see, every time the Cardinals make a trade, they win. The Cardinals, nobody is better than the Cardinals at making trades because they are so good at buying low and selling their guys when they're high, even though Alan Craig isn't really high. But they bought a guy that's super low right now, and he'll get into that city where it's just a baseball town and you're immortalized for being a Cardinal, and no one gets on your stuff when you slump. He'll go there and he'll just, dominate. I don't want to be the Dodgers, damn it. Well, I think I can switch sides. All right, well, let's see. He'll go there and he'll just be a solid number 2. He's got playoff experience, which is the number one reason why the Cardinals got him. And it's really that simple. So, so I'm the Reds now. Joe Kelly. Yeah, they traded Joe Kelly for him, but I think that's a smart move. That's going to be a knock. Joe Kelly's coming off of an injured elbow, hamstring maybe. Noah Wolf knows what's up. Yeah, Lackey has postseason experience. That's why they made the deal. Lackey started, Lackey arguably won the – I'm just going to steal every base here. Lackey arguably won the World Series for the Angels back in, 03. Yeah, that's going to be a stolen base. You got to go with the slide step. So, great trade for the Cardinals. They also picked up a guy, again, who is low, a great arm, and Masterson from Cleveland like yesterday. The Cardinals just have it figured out. We're going to hit and run here. No, not with the off-speed pitch. So, Helizzi's from St. Louis. I was in St. Louis 2 weeks ago. Hawken tooth whitening products on Great Day St. Louis. This is all a thing. How about a squeeze, guys? Yeah. Welcome to Let's Play, huh? You don't get to see a squeeze play very often. How about this action? Who said baseball was slow? Yeah, all right. For those just tuning in, I'm Paul. I run a site called Stuff's Happening, which I started yesterday. Check it out. It's about gaming, sports, and politics. I know. Interesting mix. That's going to be a home run, I think. No, I got under it. Gaming, sports, and politics. I felt like a lot of gaming sites out there were doing, obviously, some good things, but, you know, these sites crank out 20, 30, 40 articles a week, sometimes a day. And I was like, let's focus on the stuff that matters, stuff that's happening, stuff you should know. And I know a lot of gamers are overlooked for being, you know, just gaming. But no, gamers have interests that span beyond just video games, particularly what's going on in the world. So I'm like, all right, well, let me do a gaming site that's also about, like, some political issues that really matter. Not like polls and, you know, Obama's doing a fundraiser kind of thing, but really issues that matter and give a hard angle on it that's not really opinion-based, but it's about information. That's most of it that I get from international sources to save you some time. And then sports. A lot of gamers, you know, care about sports. It's particularly, is that going to go all the way? Yeah, that's going to be gone. So far, for you just tuning in, I'm dominating here. It's a good start. But a lot of gamers, I think, care about sports. Some of it's intimidating, too. And you don't feel like reading ESPN's garbage about Johnny Manziel all the time. So I'm like, all right. So let me focus on the stuff that is relatively interesting. Joe Torre, a baseball manager, went to the Hall of Fame, made a really cool speech. I think anybody could appreciate that. So I did a story on the speech about failure. This show is also about failure. Isn't that right, Nick? Yeah, that's right. So, let's see. Someone says, well, sports and politics were always combined, weren't they? Yeah, well, that's a pretty good point. All joking aside. Nick, I'm glad you could join me here. I'm playing MLB The Show. I'm the Reds. Early on, Zach Greinke can't really get anything going here. I sure did. God, warning track power. Thought I got all of that. So Noah Wolf says ALCS Tigers and A's will be nuts. Tigers, there's no way the Tigers lose that. The Tigers, I'm a Reds fan, and someone's a Cardinals fan on here, and the chat. There's just something called owning a team. The Cardinals own the Reds. It's just one of those things. And the Tigers own the A's. So the A's can go out and train every Cuban player they want, but they're still not going to be. I want the pitch meter. I think it's probably the Red Sox. The Giants? But who cares? It's not really.
I think the Giants are the best team of all time.
Yeah. So I want.
They're at least the best team in America.
What's this? Pitching interface. I want the meter. That's right.
Now you're playing like
For those just tuning in, again, welcome to a Let's Play here. Let's Plays are so hot right now. That's right. So, yeah, so we got 462 people of here, half of which are my family, watching this. I'm playing MLB The Show, Dodgers versus Reds. Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, we're talking a little baseball. We're talking a little bit of everything here. All right, you know, Nick, see you later. But, yeah, I'm really just taking MLB The Show for a spin. Probably the best baseball game in the past 4 to 5 years. What was better than it? MVP college baseball. I'd like anybody to challenge me on that one. Easily the best baseball simulation of all time, but that's the business. So someone says, is this show live or not? Yes, this is very live. I'm a human being coming to you. This is not CGI. That's a great pitch. This is not CGI. This is the business. Calbro says, Sox and Cubs fan here. There's no such thing as both a Cubs and a White Sox fan. So you can take your tomfoolery and check it at the door. You are either a Cubs or a White Sox fan. Either way, given the situation this year, I feel tremendously sorry for your position. Come Bear season, I feel sorry for you as well. So you're in Chicago right now. It's a beautiful city in the summer, but when it comes to sports, your team sucks. And Chicago just needs to get over it. It's a little bit of a depressing sports town. They had the Bulls, so it's a good run. But they kind of just need to check out. You got a lot of cool museums. You got a really beautiful lake. Some good Midwestern girls there. Just, forget sports are really a thing. That's my advice. So, yeah, Stacking Long says, is this chat on this thing live or rebroadcast? No, there's a bit of a delay. So just in general with how I am in life, there's a delay, but with this, there's especially a delay. Is Jumbo Diaz in your bullpen or is he in AAA? All good questions, Joe Latona. You're a Reds fan. Look at Cueto here. Frozen rope. Jumbo Diaz, these are updated rosters. So since this is Twitch Plays MLB The Show, I'm going to go to my bullpen and show you. I don't. This is not accurate. I wish I had Jumbo Diaz, but he's with us in spirit. Vince Hill brings a good point. They do have the Blackhawks. I know nothing about hockey, so it's very easy for me to get that, but I have a ton of respect for the sport. So the Blackhawks are legit. The Blackhawks Chicago does have, and I take that back because that is probably the sport I respect the most. So Chicago has the Blackhawks, and again, outside of that, sports-wise, there's really nothing to look forward to. So, and yeah, there's Mubot. Stuff's happening. The site I started 15 minutes ago. I'm going to keep it updated, about 3 articles a day from sports, politics, gaming, the stuff you should know about. I'm not controlling this guy here, so hopefully he catches it. That works. Cam 6, I'm being told you should mute your mic. I just work here, so if you could please comply. I know this is Twitch Plays MLB The Show, and you're excited. Let's see. J Longblade, I just got this game. Why is the load time so freaking slow? You're talking about MLB The Show, right? I think I know what you're talking about. When you originally buy it, it's a huge update file. This is a pretty big game. Rosters and all that stuff and all the modes. So if I recall correctly, I think I kind of got away with one there, I think. If I recall correctly, just kind of, I think at the beginning, it does a large download file so that it lowers the loading times. Don't quote me on that, but I know that's what there's an option where you can say, like, hey, do you want to have a big load right now? That's right. And it'll decrease your loading times in the future. So that could be what you're going into. Joe Latona, how do you get in the Skype combo? So there's like these little buttons down there. You click them. There's Skype. User handles TG Live 1, and you'll become on Skype. That was a horrible explanation, but there's a lot going on right now. So I'm playing Twitch Plays MLB The Show. Also have to burp. There we go. So that's the business. GuruBot's got you handled there. J Longblade, yeah. So I hope that answered your question. We got a fair amount of people in Skype. I can't see you, but I think I can hear you. Welcome to the program. Yeah. At any time, yeah, you can Skype in and you can talk with me. I'm kind of a cool guy. It can be something of a tool. So if it's not me, or it's not you, it's me, I guess is what I'm getting at, if you feel like something could be up. God, I thought that was a pitch to hit. I'm an aggressive first pitch swinger here. Koopy Eyes, Cup Eyes, are you a Reds fan? I am. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. So I draw the line of just the Reds. I don't follow the NFL because the NFL is soft, so I'm not a Bengals fan. I could rant about the NFL all day long. All I need is permission, and I'll do so. That could be a home run as well. Is it going to carry? Oh, wow. Look at that. Another home run. Probably the only good one I'll hit all day, huh? Yeah, so Noah Wolf, do you guess pitch for bonus or natural? If I was really into it, I would. Sometimes I guess pitch, and I'm usually halfway decent at it. But right now, I'm inside-out swing. Right now, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's kind of hard right now. I'm trying to work the crowd and all that stuff. I think guessing the pitch certainly adds a degree of fun to the game. But I would say you don't really need to do it. To me, it's just kind of like whatever. It is fun, though, when you're playing against somebody to guess the pitch because it is just kind of a little bit more of a mind, as it were. So one DDAC says, let's go Nats. The Nats made a big trade today. I forget what it was, but they picked up somebody. Was it Pardo? It wasn't a big trade. It was just a trade. So that's not going to happen. Yeah. Deceptify. Anyone. I need help with PCI aiming. Any both have any techniques or suggestions? I use zone plus analog. Yeah. You're on your own on that one. But feel free to the chat. This is a very open forum here. I think someone has a mic that's scratching. You can mute it. That would make us all happy. Yeah, Cam 1. That's all right. Cam 1, you got it? You good? Perfect. All All right, so that's not sounding pleasant. So we'll get to the bottom what that is. But for those tuning in, I'm playing MLB The Show. You can probably piece this together. There's people Skyping in. There's a chat window I'm paying attention to. Welcome to the program.
You guys?
There's that guy. He's saying hi. So what's going on? Olivra's enjoying herself. Xander's coming here. He's kind of like our bouncer. Check your ID at the door. That was a slide piece away. I am watching you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hi. Okay.
I do a question.
Yeah, I know. He's having a good time. So, anyway. Oh, Raphael. Yeah, go ahead. What's the question?
What that cook I get? The PS4 or the Wii U?
Yeah, okay. So all good questions. MLB The Show for PS4. The reason I'm doing this is because it's a Let's Play. They're hot right now. Let's Plays are so hot. Pootie Pie and all that. It's the MLB trade deadline. So someone else has their mic. I can hear myself. God, this is a logistical nightmare, but tell you what. So that's a jam shot. We're going to let that go foul. So who would you rather sign long-term, Latos or Cueto? I think Cueto's got a $10 million option for next year. It's a good question. I think probably Cueto. He's hot right now. I would say Cueto seems like the Cueto for sure. But I think Latos probably you can get for better dollars. So did someone else want to ask a question? It sounded like someone else was saying something there. To answer your question, I'd say Cueto. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I know a lot about baseball. So if you have any general questions about basically any team, I could probably give you a halfway decent answer. And we're here for like an hour and a half, so we might as well go big. Could MLB The Show use a street mode like NBA 2K? I thought MLB... I don't know. That's a good question because I thought street mode sucked when I first started playing it because it was a little too realistic. For those that aren't familiar, in NBA 2K street mode, it's like 2-on-2 or whatever, 3-on-3 or 4-on-4 in the street. But the kicker is like you wait. You'll walk around and you like fight for little spots, and you go to like a little spot and you wait until the game's done and you have next. Which is kind of cool because that's hypothetically, I guess, how it is in the street. From suburban Ohio, I mean, I know as much about the street as, somebody from Canada. But to me, I think you could probably do without that. But what would a street look like in MLB The Show? I think what they look at to enhance every year is the graphics, obviously, and the animations. That was a pitch to hit. Did he get all of it, though? Ludwig kind of sucks. 5 o'clock hitter? Yeah, that's gone. I'm just annihilating Greinke here. So, Out of the Park 2015, what do you think of it? Out of the Park 2015, I haven't. I've played RBI Baseball, and I thought that was a joke. But that's about it. What game next console do I PlayStation 4 or Wii U? That's an interesting question because they're totally different consoles. I like that question over PS4, Xbox One because there's so little separating those. I'm the kind of guy right now, I own a PS4. I don't know. I think Wii U's got a lot going for it. Now that it has Mario Kart and it will have Zelda. It's got the new Smash Brothers. What is that? Summer or fall, right? Because I think summer. I think soon is the 3DS. Yeah, 3DS is coming up soon, right? 3DS comes first. I buy a Wii U just because. I don't because the controller sucks. But I felt like just saying that just to wake some people up. So they're going to try to turn 2 here, and they're probably going to be successful. That's my catcher running. What wise guy calls it the show? I don't know. What are you drinking? This is a Hanson's Diet Cream Soda. Good question. It brings more casual gamers in, like a Sandlot. Out of the Park 2015, is that what we're talking about? Vin Sill says, haven't followed baseball in a long time. I saw a question about the Expos. This will be interesting. Look at Cueto knocking the poop out of it. Do you think the Expos will come back in the next 5 years in Montreal? Not a chance in hell. Canadian baseball is not a thing. And I know Toronto draws pretty well, but they have some high-profile players. That stadium they had was an absolute dump. The Expo Dome? No, it was the Olympic Stadium. Olympic Stadium. They had Vlad Guerrero. They had literally like a perfect team. They had Larry Walker. They had arguably the best team in the 90s before the strike. And that was their chance to really make it happen, but there's no way. I think there's too many other teams, too many other cities that would get a franchise before them. I think baseball's good. I don't think any city like needs a baseball team that's lacking one. I think football is where it's really interesting, because you've got the Raiders that are saying we're leaving Oakland. You've got Jacksonville that's like, no one's in Jacksonville. I mean, I've been to Jacksonville twice. No one wants to go to a football game there. You're either going to the beach or you're like a retired doctor that's just mowing through Kindle books. So the fact that there's a football team there and the fact it sucks, even though I think they'll be halfway decent this year, makes no sense. Now there's talk of San Antonio having a team. That makes a lot of sense to me. I was in San Antonio like 5 days ago. It's a city that's got a lot going for it. It's the 7th biggest city in the country. And it's got a heck of a lot of stadiums. And it's got Texas. And people in Texas love football. And there's a lot of people in Texas. So I could see San Antonio getting a team. There's also Los Angeles, which has no money and doesn't need a professional sports franchise. But I could see that being a thing pretty soon. So do you have CA? Do you have Instagram? I don't. I'm not an Instagram guy, but check out the Facebook page. Check out the Twitter. Again, the stuff's happening. Started like 15 minutes ago. It's a site that's actually been building for a couple of months. Again, it focuses on sports, gaming, and politics. It's the stuff you should know about, guys. Again, I felt that there are too many sites out there that are wasting your time clickbaiting articles, leak trailer this, leak screenshots. Like, let's get to the point. And I have a fair amount of experience in gaming journalism, a lot of experience in sports journalism as a sports broadcaster, and I know politics pretty well. So it's ideally meant to be a one-stop if you want to catch up on, like, important issues. And, yeah, there are important issues within the gaming and the sports world. Sports world's insane. You've got the NFL banning trash talking, which I just did an article on, which is nuts. We're going to bunt here. Oh! Yeah, you better scoop that foul. Psalms 2000 says, wow, actually more than 10 viewers in here today. Baseball brings in the people. People love baseball. It's America's pastime. God, that better be a knock. Yeah. So I'm going to steal 2 bases here for you guys. But, yeah, we're on the Twitch front page, I believe. I'm Paul. We're doing a Let's Play. It's going to be the show. You can piece it together from here. Paul brought the people. Oh, I'm just one man drinking a diet soda. What else we got here? San Antonio will never get a team because the TV market can't support it. It's a fair point, but I would say this. Again, San Antonio, it's the 7th largest city, and what I didn't know, I don't know if you're from San Antonio. You probably know more about it than I do. It's 90 minutes. It's like 70 miles from Austin. And I think the biggest issue isn't the lack of TV market in San Antonio. It's the fact you have the Cowboys that want to own Texas. Houston, fine, you can do whatever you want to do, but we'll still own the other half of Texas. I mean, Houston's far to the south and to the east. So if you bring in like a team in San Antonio and Austin all of a sudden, I mean, Cowboys are America's team, sure, but I don't know. I don't think they'd want that competition. So I think that's the biggest issue. I mean, TV market, I don't know. I mean, Buffalo has a football team. Cincinnati, where I'm from, has a football team. That's going to be in the gap. So we're just going to run the bases here, guys. So Nashvilleian, there's no baseball team there. It's a toss-up between Cincy and Atlanta. I feel like Atlanta just owns the South. And Nashville, you're probably like, what, 300 miles, 400 miles from Cincy? 400 miles probably. Cincy's not like a southern team, so unless you have some allegiance to the city, it seems like you're kind of the Braves or bust. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't see any team. I mean, you could probably have the Nationals, too. Let's see. We got a question here from a DJ Sketch says, you drinking a diet soda goes a long way, let me tell you. Imagine if this was a tab. I mean, that's a Texas Leaguer. No, it's not. For those wondering, a Texas Leaguer is a pop-up that falls in between the outfielders and the infielders. It's named that way because the wins in Texas where they play baseball, it's a win-aided pop-up, i.e. a Texas Leaguer. Learning things today. How do you manage to get more than 28.5 million views, and how many have seen your show live at the most? Yeah, okay. So this is a channel that's been on the Twitch front page a lot. I used to do a show on here live until I got the heave-ho. And I can tell you, our show, the most we ever got was about 500,000 for an hour. That was when we released H1Z1, the zombie game. But again, I haven't been here in like 2 months, so I can't speak to the numbers. But I can tell you being on the Twitch page is a good thing. So, what else we got here? Why are there 2 teams in Florida? How did that happen? 2 football teams, right? VTAC says, why are there 2 teams in Florida? How did that happen? Tampa Bay, Miami Dolphins. What are we talking about? Miami teams. There was only 2 teams. I feel like Tampa Bay can support a team, though. No, there's 3 teams. Are you talking baseball? I'm so confused. I'm sorry. Tennessee is Cards in the West and Atlanta in the East. That makes sense because you're very close to St. Louis. And St. Louis, yeah. But that's a smaller TV market, too. St. Louis and Cincinnati are very similar cities. So, again, for those tuning in, we're talking about baseball markets. MLB The Show and Paul. I run a site called Stuff's Happening. Check it out. It's 15 minutes old. Problem is to keep it updated, guys. There's going to be a lot of good stuff on there. It's free. I don't do any advertising. So, no clickbaiting, just information you should know about. I come forward pretty straight with my opinions. So, you might not always agree with that, but you'll learn something. Anyway, back to this. Rays and Marlins. Yeah, so baseball. Yeah, the Marlins I can't figure out because they built a new stadium and they were drawing their first year, which was last year, which is an ugly stadium. They averaged 28,000 people. You can look it up. It's true. This year, 10,000 people less. And the team is like 500. They're a solid team. They have one of the best players in baseball, at least the guy that hits a lot of home runs. So, not a big baseball market there. And Tampa Bay is, I think, the lowest drawing team in the Major League Baseball. So, to your point, I forget who said this. Why are there 2 teams? VTAC, yeah. There are 2 teams in Florida. You got me. So, they could probably move them. I think Tampa Bay, I mean, I don't know. Tampa Bay's been in the World Series, within the past couple of years. They're a good franchise. So, I don't know. I take them in my city. They made what I think is a pretty bad trade today, though. I mean, they picked up 2 average, a solid Major League Baseball, Major League southpaw for the rotation, kind of a throw-in middle infielder, and then a pretty risky, unproven 19-year-old, I think, shortstop or something, So, trading David Price here. I want your farm team, So, Stan should be filling that park, No Wolf says. Yeah. And then someone else says, it's a big stadium. It's too big of a stadium to hit a home run. One dead duck, 89. I think you're talking about Marlins Stadium. And I think that's only the case to center field, which is a joke. And I think you're right. They'll probably move the fences in like a year, but they probably don't care. But yeah, center field is a joke. I think it's more of an ugly stadium than it is like too big of a stadium. But, if you're Stanton, whatever. Every single home run he hits, it's a no-doubter. So, they got a ton more for Shields. Yeah, the Kansas City trade. So, I don't know. I don't know what Shields' contract was, but Price was making $14 million in cheese. But I don't think that should matter. I think he also has another year left, and he's the best pitcher in the American League. So I guess maybe Lester. We're going to turn 2 here just for the crowd. No, we don't need to. So let's see. Do you think the A's got ripped off in the Lester trade? No. I think I was surprised by it. Laced up rocket. I think I was really surprised to see Cespedes traded. And I'm going to do a piece on this for StuffsHappening.com. I don't believe the winner of the Home Run Derby champion has ever been traded. The winner of the Home Run Derby has ever been traded at the trade deadline. Not that that's extremely significant, but I don't know. To me, that's a pretty big guy to get rid of. And your team, the Oakland A's, that are like 22 games above 500, you're killing it. But this is clearly a postseason move, and you need 3 number 1s. And now they have it. Great. But Cespedes is a stud. And I think the move makes a lot of sense for Boston because their offense suddenly sucks. But it is weird to see a World Series champion, which the Boston Red Sox are, even though they suck this year, to clean house 6-7 months later. So, but they'll be back. So let's see here. Astros stockpiling young talent, like it or not. I think the Astros are in a lot of trouble. I don't know what just happened. Okay. Again, I was in Texas, last week. And I don't know, I was at the airport and someone, I guess, left a Houston paper. I don't know how stuff happened. But I'm reading through this, and I'm looking at Houston Astros ratings, like their TV ratings. And their pregame show This is just one game. This is enough. Their pregame show had 4,500 viewers watching it, which is not a lot. To break that down for you, that's a .2 rating. But it gets better / worse. The game had less than 1,000 people watching it. So they had more people watching their pregame show, obviously accidentally, and there were less than 800 people watching an actual Astros game. And the reason they know that is because Nielsen said this is a 0 rating. And what that means is the 800 set-top boxes that Nielsen had in that market, nobody was watching a Houston Astros game. So Houston stockpiling young talent, I suppose, but that team looks like it's 4 or 5 years away, and no one's watching those games. I don't know if they'll be on TV much longer. I think the MLB, and I did a piece on this for StuffsHappening.com, they didn't sign their #1 draft pick. They're like, no thanks, we're not going to sign you. Like, he was the #1 player. They drafted him #1 at least. He's a high school pitcher out of San Diego, and they offered him $6 million, and then they did a physical. This is a true story, and after the physical, they're like, no, something's wrong with her elbow. We're only going to offer you $3.1 million, half literally what we initially offered you. And the guy's agent's like, what the heck? No, this is not going to happen. And then I think the Astros countered with like 5, and then they were just like, forget about it. And the Astros literally didn't sign their #1 overall draft pick. So what will happen to the player is he'll probably go to UCLA or maybe JUCO or maybe become a free agent. But he won't be eligible to the draft till like 2017 probably. But the Astros will get the #2 overall pick next year, in addition to probably like their #1 pick, because they'll be one of the worst teams. The point is, if you're stockpiling young talent, you sign that guy. The guy's supposed to be a stud. He's an #1 player. Maybe they found something wrong with his elbow. My guess is they probably got cheap, didn't like the kid at the last minute, and used the elbow as a cop-out. Beats me. So, anyway, Stuff's Happening's plugging my site. Anyway, I'm talking about stuff and things. So, VTAC's saying, so their viewership went down when the game started. Yeah! So, this is one game, but I think this is one game that was like a week after opening day. You can look this up. This is like a true story. So it was a week after opening day, which is traditionally when your team is like potentially good. They didn't even suck yet, and people weren't even watching it. And this is Houston. Houston's the 4th biggest city in the country, 4th or 5th. It's like Chicago, Philly, and then I think Houston. So there's people. And like, what else is there to do in Houston? It's baseball season. Watch the game. So, they're probably watching rodeos or something, but So we got stuff happening on this thing here. So do you earn enough from this show to stop working in your normal job? Yeah. So this is what you call a cameo for this channel. This is just a Let's Play that I'm guesting in on. I earn nothing for this, but I do get to talk with you guys and play video games. So this is what you call pro bono. But yeah, I mean, I'm here because I run a website and I want people to check it out, and I like playing video games and I like talking about this stuff. But to answer your question, because you're probably a Twitcher and you're trying to wonder how, much money Twitchers make and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. If you have questions about that, I'm not a avid Twitch player, but I have a lot of experience on Twitch. I used to host a show on this channel called Game Talk Live, and every day we were on the front page of Twitch. So very familiar with the landscape and all that stuff. But I know most of the guys that do make a living, maybe a couple thousand a day to maybe a couple, to considerably 6 figures a year. To break it down, those guys, they're streaming 7-8 hours a day. And the key with a lot of these guys is they got in early. Are they interesting? Sure. But a lot of them are just doing giveaways that are being handed to them from the publishers and stuff. And they got in early. All the power to them. But, if I've learned anything from this stuff, you just got to be passionate about it. So, do I earn enough? I got a free diet drink, so I must be doing something right. Let's see here. We got all kinds of stuff. How much did you get your PS4 for, Joe Latona 11? Funny story about that. I got it on Amazon about a month after it came out, so I avoided the initial rush, but got it when like the second rush came in, where it was like still hard to get one. And wouldn't you know it, my PS4 was part of the busted batch. Like, it was actually a thing. Like, the disk drive ate my Call of Duty. That's right. It ate the game, so the disk drive was broken. So to answer your question, I got it for list price, whatever it was, like $400. but I had to send it in and do all that dance, and I think they sent me a new one because they said, yeah, this is repaired, but they sent a brand new box and all that kind of stuff. So I think what they did with that disk drive is they just gave me a new PS4. But it made me quite sad because it took about 2 weeks, and you kind of have, like they don't say sorry. They're just, I chatted with the guy online. That's the best way to get a hold of PS4, by the way, is to do that chat. Don't ever call them. Do the chat. I'm telling you. Because I try to call and it's always on hold. And the chat, I don't know if it's a robot or if it's just some guy in India or whatever, but it worked. I was like, he's like, what's your problem? I'm like, yeah, my disk drive doesn't work. He's like, okay, you need to send that in because we know exactly what that is. And then 2 weeks later, they sent me a coffin box. So, you got to wait for the box to come, which is like 3 days. First world problems, I know, but it sucks. You don't be without your console for 2 weeks. But it's a thing. So what do we got here? Predictions. Cespedes was good. I'll get to K-Dubs thing. Cespedes was good in Oakland, but he was streaky. Always had some injury. They have the hitters to help them in the postseason. Pitching wins championships. When you look at the Giants, yada, yada, yada. None of those games are blowouts. You don't pitch in the big hammer Giants fan. Yeah, I agree with everything that is said. What also wins championships, though, is defense. And I think Cespedes is probably one of the best defensive outfielders in the game. The point is, it's a left fielder. Who cares? You can give that up. You get an ace, you get him. Also lost in the mix of that trade, they got Johnny Gomes back. Johnny Gomes is a ball player. So will they miss Cespedes? Sure. But having Gomes on your team, he's a solid, streaky player too. Gomes can carry your team for like a week, but Gomes is a solid player that's good to have around, and Oakland knows him. So I think that's kind of a thing not a lot of people are talking about in that deal that does, I think, help compensate for losing Cespedes. And I agree 100% with what you're saying. If I get John Lester for one guy, I'm doing that trade every day and Sunday. So the only problem is Lester. They're only getting him for like the rest of the season, but whatever. A's need to win a championship. Billy Beane is like, I'm tired of losing. I'm tired of winning like 100 games of the postseason and the regular season and losing the postseason. I'm making that deal. So Cogsox Finn says we might not watch baseball. Yeah, so earlier we were talking about Houston not watching baseball. And he's saying we might not watch baseball in Houston, but the economy is one of the best in the country. Suck at rest of America. Texas has a lot of things figured out. I know a lot of people like criticize it for their politics, which I know I run stuffsavvy.com, which has a big political component to it. We talk about gaming, sports, and politics. To each their own on that, but Texas businesses have it figured out. If you want to start a business, you go to Texas because it's extremely easy to start. There's not like a million fees like there are in California. It's very, tax deductions, all that kind of stuff. There's a ton of people, a lot of innovators down there. You have agriculture. You've got the Gulf. There's a lot of different industries you can have started. A lot of friendly people. You can travel word of mouth. Yeah, I'm not bashing Texas. I'm just showing shit. Like, nobody's watching Houston Astros baseball games. So what you shouldn't do is start a baseball team in Houston right now. Well, maybe you should, because they will be better than the Houston Astros. So, only guy you got to watch out for. Who's their second baseman? Like the guy that's like 4 feet tall. Altuve. Altuve's bringing it outside of that. So let's see. Be totally honest. Do you think Mike Trout could possibly be doing steroids? Who knows? I don't worry about baseball players and like it's not steroids. It's HGH. I mean, as far as I know, all of these guys could. If I know one thing, baseball is like they're after it. If you mess around in baseball, I think they will come after you. I think Roger Clemens is like the exception. I'm not really paying attention to my game here, but I think Cueto's kind of handling things. I might go to the bullpen. I'm going to bring in Chapman for you guys. So I'm going to warm up Chapman at least. What was I talking about? I was talking about HGH. NFL, all of those guys are doing stuff. Those guys are big enough to eat hay. And the NFL recently in the union couldn't come together to make a deal on it. I think they're totally looking the other way. I think it's one of the reasons why the NFL is such a fraud, because they're trying to make the game safer with all these BS rules that are just making the game soft and complicated and making the referees, putting the referees in a no-win situation. The NFL, if they crack down on how big these guys were, which the only way possible is these kids are starting to take steroids and HGH when they're like 18. If they cracked down on that, I guarantee you would see injuries and concussions go down. The only way you have these many concussions are guys are ginormous. Now, granted, you saw a lot of them back in the day, but you know what? Back in the day, like in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, football players were smart. They knew how to tackle. You tackle with your face up in football. It's one of the first things you learn the moment you put on pads. You tackle with your head up so that you don't injure yourself. You watch these yahoos in the NFL. How do they tackle? With their head. They hit you with the crown of their head because they want the big hit, and they all want to be on SportsCenter. But guess what? They end up having concussions because none of these guys know how to tackle. The best defensive players in the NFL, frankly, the reason they're the best isn't because they're the most athletic. Yes, they are. But it's because they know how to wrap up and tackle. So the NFL, if they really wanted to solve this issue, they would go back to practicing the fundamentals of tackling or tell these guys, you know, you're going to get penalized if you don't tackle well, you know, whatever. They shouldn't do that, but that would make at least more sense. And they should crack down on HGH because these guys, there's no way they're not all using it. No way. I have no proof to back that up. But you ask the old-timers and you see how big these guys are, there's no way else of explaining it. And the body types of these guys, they look like bodybuilders. They're not like the old-school jack dudes. So that's my opinion on that. So what else we got? America's favorite game is now football and not baseball. True or false? I don't know. You know, I would say someone turn their mic off. I got to do stuff and things here. Let's see. America is now football, not baseball. True or false? I don't know. I mean, they occur at different points of the year. More people enjoy football in terms of like numbers and viewers. But you know what? People say baseball's like slow and stuff. The NBA's slow. I mean, if you look at what happens during an NBA game, yeah, like stuff's going back and forth. But these guys get fouled every 30 seconds and they stop. The end of a baseball game takes an hour and a basketball game takes an hour and a half because they're fouling guys trying to get it to a 3-possession or 2-possession game. The reason people say baseball is slow is, one, I just don't think they like it. But two, it's not a matter of it being slow. What they're saying is the stakes aren't high. When there's 162 games, yeah, it's going to seem slow because this game doesn't seem to have that much importance. No one ever says baseball's slow during like game one of the National League pennant because literally every pitch happens, every pitch counts. You know, so I think that's the point there. So America's game is still football because the NFL has done a good job of branding itself to the mainstream. They've treated it like professional wrestling, where it's like very easy to understand. It's like big giant guy with celebration move takes on other player from other team with his celebration move. You know, they've simplified the game to where a lot of people can understand it. I think baseball still has a little bit more nuance. It doesn't connect with with many people, you know. But that's the business. So I think someone still has their mic on, but that's whatever. So, so if we could do that. Predictions on this year's NFL seasons, who will win, etc. You know, I don't know. I mean, the NFL. So it says someone's got their mic. Can we mute it real quick? I would say predictions.
I think baseball still has a little bit more fun.
I would have to think about that, but I think I bashed the hell out of Jacksonville earlier, but I think the Jaguars will surprise some people. You know, you have to like the Steelers just because they always seem to find a way. You still have to like Baltimore because they seem to find a way. San Francisco is still probably going to be in it because that's everyone's pick. You have to like them. Someone has their mute. Yeah, can we mute them? Thank you. Packers, I feel like, yeah. I wish I had a more creative answer, but I really don't. I'm just kind of doing things here.
Think about that, but I think
Aroldis Chapman's into the game. You have to like the 49ers. The Seahawks, yeah, sure, they won it last year. I think the Texans will surprise some people again, too. I think the Texans had a fluke, just horrible year last year. I could see the Texans winning 9 or 10 games. They had a heck of a team 2 years ago. That was a great defense. And I think that's a team that is hungry. You know, they got Clowney, you know, so I think that's a great defense. I think Foster fell off the face of the planet, am I right? So I think Houston's going to surprise some people. You have to, the Patriots are probably, yeah, can someone mute their mic? I'm kind of hearing stuff and things. So, so that's the business.
I think the Texans had a fluke.
Let me go to the chat here. This guy is oblivious. Is that me? Because you couldn't be any more right. Meow Gimon 69. What am I oblivious about? To the game that I'm playing right now? I'm winning. So that can't be it. Is it about the NFL? I hate doing NFL predictions this early because it's all you're gonna have like 9 guys tear their ACL in training camp. So, but yeah. So let's see here. I'm from Norway. We just got on Terror Threat. Have you heard about that in Big Brother America? Just fun to know, or even have heard about Norway at all. I don't know a lot about Norway. I know it's next to Sweden. But interesting to know. Is J.J. Watt on the path to being greater than Reggie White? Nobody's as great as the great ones in this day and age in this game because the game is so different. There's so many rules. It's so much more soft. And I say this as a guy that's like 180 pounds playing video games. But the NFL guys, they'd say the same thing. They've taken the fun out of the game. The game is so different than it used to be. You can't really even sack the quarterback anymore. Like, you can't tackle him into the ground. So I don't know how you can compare these guys to the guys from, like, I don't know if anybody can. Hey, can someone mute a mic? Sorry.
Greater than Reggie White.
You can't compare these guys to the greats. You just can't. Because, you know, those guys played through concussions, for better or worse, but they just did. All that being said, J.J. Watt is a hell of a player. So, yeah, sorry, Rady. It's just kind of someone stuffing things. So, yeah, we're going to take care of that. So, let's see. Sorry, I'm fixing my mic. Who's it? Joe, Skype 6, if you can mute your mic, or if you did, that would be great. Thank you so much. If you're asking questions, some of them are going a little fast here, and someone said I'm oblivious. In that case, they've got it right. Oh, yeah, someone in camera 6 is oblivious. Yeah. Either way, we've got that figured out. Keep asking your questions. Sorry if I'm skipping over, but let's see. Packers play the Seahawks opening day. That game will decide who will do what. Bipolar Disorder says, that's the thing about the NFL that chaps me, too. There's way too many games. 4 preseason games. There should be 2. There should be about 14 regular season games. These NFL guys literally have to fake injuries, or they have to say I'm injured so that they have to take games off so they don't get too injured. And that's just the truth, you know? But what the NFL's actually started doing, at least they were doing this 2 years ago, is filming these players on the sidelines to determine if they were really injured or not. But the thing is, if you play 16 NFL football games, add in like 2, we'll say, with the preseason games, there's no way you're going to be healthy, which is why a lot of these guys take plays off, too. You have to. It's nuts. You can't play full-out 16/20/ maybe 23 games with the playoffs as hard as you can without getting injured. It's just not possible. Or without being on HGH or some type of supplement. So... But you know what? The NFL is a business that makes billions of dollars. They're not going to take away games. That's millions of dollars in revenue. They're not going to not make these guys fly to London because that's millions of dollars in global revenue. I just won this game quite handily. For those just tuning in, we're doing a Let's Play for another hour here. Playing MLB The Show. It's the trade deadline today. I'm Paul. I run a site called Stuff Happening. There's gaming, politics, and sports. 15 minutes. Go check it out. Like the Facebook page. Follow it on Twitter. It's a site that is meant to save you time. And again, I found that a lot of websites out there were kind of wasting your time by writing way too much stuff, rumors and leaks and all that kind of stuff. And there's really not a lot of good political sites out there for people in our demographic, particularly people that play video games. Not a lot of people, you know, I think know how to dedicate content towards gamers or realize gamers actually enjoy or interesting stuff like politics. It's not just gaming 24/7. Like gamers are kind of frowned upon in the sense that gamers are some of the smartest people out there and the most plugged in because we're playing online all the time with people again from like Norway and France and, you know, overseas or what have you. So we know what's going on around the world. So I dedicate a site towards that stuff. So anyway, Reggie White was the man, always will be. 100%. Again, you can't duplicate. The game's so much different now than it was. Even baseball, it's not even close. How do you think the Bears will do this year? I said my piece earlier about sports in Chicago. I mean, I don't really like Jay Cutler. I think he's a guy that, I mean, he's an Indiana guy and so am I, but to me it seems like he doesn't seem like a real winner. He's got a great arm. That's fantastic. Who do you guys want to see me play? Reds? I feel like we had a Brewers guy in here. I'll do Reds, Brewers. I don't want to be the Brewers. I think the Bears will be fine, but I don't see them making any noise. You know, I mean, who do they have? We'll go with Latos this game. Who do they have to really make noise anymore? You know, I think it's another. maybe it's 8-9 win team for them, but I don't see them really making any noise come playoffs. The Bears won't do much. Sorry, bipolar. Paul, serious question. I hope you can say. Would you rather have permanent cheetah fingers or always wear one roller skate? This is why Let's Plays are important, because we tackle the questions that matter. Cheeto fingers. That's actually a really easy one, because you always have a go-to Cheeto fingers, and then you're on one roller skate. I mean, how am I supposed to go anywhere with that? So, but great question. Paul, I didn't mean you were oblivious. Oh, that's fine. No worries, Miaga. Do you think Jared should retire? Jeter needs to retire. I mean, go out on your own terms. Don't be the Jerry Rice of baseball and bounce around. I mean, the guy's going out on top. He's doing it right. I think Derek Jeter has the epitome of the perfect baseball career. Like, that's a guy that just has it figured out. Like, 18 years, just fifth most hits of all time he'll probably end up with. He didn't end with on a sour note with his team. He didn't end over the hill. Had his moment at the All-Star game. Yeah, so perfect. Jeter on his fair, yeah. Yeah, Jeter's gone, but yeah, I think the question is, should Jeter retire or not? But yeah, Jeter's doing it right. So Favre, yeah, well, Favre is just weird. Favre turned out to be a skirt chaser and all kinds of stuff, and he went from being the greatest of all time to just being you're a weirdo, get out of here, which is kind of funny, but it's also horrible because he ruined his family's life and was a great player that will forever be known as the Tiger Woods of football. He's not quite as bad as Tiger Woods, but So anyway, Spagioni's saying Paul Nyhart. That's right, that's my name. Stephen, thanks. Jay Cutler needs to retire soon. I mean, he's still got a good arm. He seems like a guy that doesn't really want it. There's guys out there that just want it, that are just winners, and Jay Cutler seems like a guy who has always had a really good arm. Todd, right? He's always had a really good arm, and kind of always relied on that. And in football, you need the intangibles. You need to be a winner, and yeah, I mean, I know I'm being harsh on the guy. I don't know who Jay Cutler is. He's probably a cool guy, but he's he got himself run out of Denver, and he probably could have had a good setup there. What happened 2 years later? Manny went in there. What happened? Boom, one win away from a ring. So I don't know. Paul, why is Craig Biggio not in the Hall of Fame yet? That man is a saint. Craig Biggio was on the ballot this year. Biggio doesn't have sexy numbers. And Biggio was a player, you make a good point because if Barry Larkin's in the Hall of Fame, Biggio should be in it. But did I get all of it? No, I think I got under it. Cozart sucks too. Biggio was the kind of player that did the little things, I think he's been hit the most time of anybody in baseball history. But he was just a gamer and he was a gritty player. And I think if you look at his baseball card, you might, But I do think Biggio will get in the Hall of Fame. But the thing is, if you put Biggio in the Hall of Fame, you've got to put Bagwell in the Hall of Fame. And I don't know if Bagwell's a Hall of Famer. And the other thing, too, is those guys might split some votes. So I don't know. It's one of those things. Took a look at the site, cracked it because you are right that they did used to have 2 All-Star games a year. Yeah, VTAC, checked out my site, stuffsavvy.com. Thank you. Yeah, from 1959 to 1962, Major League Baseball had 2 All-Star games in the same year. The reason why, funny enough, the players were hard up for cash. The same game, this day and age, the average Major League Baseball player makes $3 million a year. The MLB baseball players, what it really was, 10 years before, in 1949, or I think it might have been earlier than that, the Major League Baseball players said, we should start our own pension fund. And they're like, yeah, we probably should. So they played 2 All-Star games because they wanted to, double the attendance, and they took that money and put it into the pension fund. So they did that for 3 years until they realized this is stupid. We're doing 2 All-Star games. And it was also weird because, in the 1959, the 2 All-Star games were a month apart, and they were in different stadiums. Don't quote me on this, but one was for instance in Minnesota, I think, and another was in New York. So there was 2 All-Star games, and then for 3 years, I'm all right, this is stupid. And I wrote that article during the time, obviously, when there was an All-Star game, which to me, it's nuts to think the All-Star game still affects world home field advantage in the World Series. That to me is just the dumbest thing ever. But it is what it is. So I don't know. But yes, it's funny. I thought just that the fact that the World Series or the All-Star game used to have 2 games. So, all right, so what do we got here? Took a look at thank you. Tiger Woods or Bubba Watson? I don't care about golf. I think golf, I do not respect the sport of professional golf. I think those guys obviously have a lot of talent. I think they're very disciplined. I don't think it's a sport. And I do think video games are a sport, esports. I think it's a sport. And, again, I don't think that's a knock on those guys. I've played a lot of golf. I've played a lot of sports. Golf, when you have a caddy and you have him carrying your bags, there's very little test of physical strength, which I'll get into the video game argument as well. But, yes, it's in a competitive atmosphere and all that, but if the players, if golfers were required to carry their bags, it's a sport no matter what. I think you should be forced as a professional golfer to carry your own bag. However, you're allowed to carry as many clubs as you'd like. Right now, I think you can only have like 14 clubs or whatever. But if you carry your own bag, as many clubs as you like. You can have 17, you can have 24. Then it's a sport. Because then it's a test of physical strength. Because, Tiger Woods has an advantage over a guy that's 600 pounds and never really works out, but, goes to the driving range and can hit the hell out of a golf ball. So then I think there's a little bit more of a sport component. Now, why do I think golf isn't a sport, but video games are, i.e. esports? A fair point. To me, I feel like the atmosphere of video games, like a League of Legends tournament or like a StarCraft tournament, those guys have the pressure of a crowd around them. And they have to deal with the elements of a crowd, which I think is very important in sports. When you're shooting a free throw, you have to deal with somebody yelling at you, with a crowd of horns and all that kind of stuff. In golf and in tennis, you have to be quiet. And I also think that's bullcrap. I think the whole etiquette stuff should be thrown out of the window because I think athletes should be forced to deal with that. And I think gamers are much more attuned to dealing with those elements. So I think that makes them more of an athlete than a golfer. So, I don't know. Are gamers athletes? Should they be? Who really cares? The point is I think they are more of athletes than golfers. So, yeah. So, Jumbo Diaz, Joe Latona says, yeah, he wants me to pitch with him. They don't have him on this roster. I could call him up from the minors, but I've already started a fresh game. So that was my rant about golf. Pete Rose, a loser, cheat, and a scumbag. Kogoxafloppin says, all those are true. However, nobody knows more about baseball than Pete Rose. I guarantee you. And he should be managing a Major League Baseball team, flat out. So that's my opinion there. But you're right. So golf feels more like a recreation to me. Yeah, it's a recreation. It is what it is. Make them carry their bags. And I would have so much more respect for the game. I've played a lot of golf. Golf, I think, is relatively easy when that's like what you do. When what you do is like you hit a golf ball and it's not moving. And really, once you hit the golf ball, you can't do anything about it. You get a lot of lucky bounces. Same way in baseball, but there's also 9 other guys. There's a team component to it. There's not really a team component to golf. You've got your caddy, but there's a reason you only pay him like 10%. So I think really the lack of team component in golf, you have like the Ryder Cup, but that's weak. So anyway, I'm kidding you. You don't necessarily have to be in shape to play golf. Yeah. So how can Fielder eat like a truck driver and team throw money at him? So Prince Fielder in Texas, who's actually a vegetarian, by the way, they gave him a bunch of money. He got injured. It happens in baseball. The problem with baseball is it's all guaranteed contracts, but that's the nature of the game. That's never going to change. So, and how about you don't have a caddy to essentially be your coach either. It can be the solo game. Yeah. Great show. Take care. Yeah, thanks, Mao. Yeah. You're a high dude. When a dude says he works on esports aside from C9 balls, he's thinking about doing training. Yeah, you don't have to be in physically good shape to play video games, obviously. I think the element there is, again, there's a team-based component to esports. Again, these StarCraft guys, they play one-on-one. I get it. You can do a 1v1 LOL game. I got it. But I think a lot of the esports where they're growing in their popularity is on these 5v5 LOL matches. And I think that's why they're more athletes, because they can work amongst a team. And they deal with the crowd. I know you got headphones on and stuff like that, but you can feel the energy. It's a bit of a weaker audience. It's a bit of a weaker argument, but I still think they're more athletes than golfers just because of the team component. And you could poke holes in that argument, I know. But we're also on Twitch, which is a video game site. Throw it to first. Come on, same team. Man, no, I don't know what happened. I don't get why people laugh at esports, when people praise chess players. People just think video games are stupid. We got to move off. Who cares? Update all the teams with the rosters. JT. I did. I downloaded the update. People want me, I guess, to stop? I don't know. So let's see. I don't know if I can even do that. Rosters. Yeah. So I think we're just going to roll deep here. I'm going to check again. I don't think I have Jumbo Diaz, which is too bad because the Reds are carrying 8 pitchers right now. Yeah, I did update the rosters. I guess this didn't load. I'm sorry, guys. Well, stuff and things. Reaction time for esports. Yeah, but there's also, plenty of those similar type skills in golf that's needed. This guy's stealing second here, hit and run. So reaction time. I think the main thing about video game, like those esports guys, it's discipline. Like you have to play 12 hours of video games a day to be that good. And you also have to be good at like math and all that kind of stuff. It depends on what you're playing, StarCraft or LOL. I know there's other esports out there besides those, but those are the only ones that I really pay attention to. Like Dota 2, you watch those guys. Like those guys, they're doing a lot of stuff in their head. When it comes to farming and whatnot, and making last-second kills on minions and stuff like that. So I don't know. We could talk about this all day long, but someone said, so stuff's happening again. That's the site I work for. I started about 5 minutes ago. Gaming, Sports, Politics. Check out the site. Let me know what you think. Like, follow on Facebook, guys. Stuff's happening on there. We're doing something different on there. There's no advertising, no clickbait, no clickbaiting, as it were. If you like what you see here on this show, you'll probably like what I'm writing. So they're trying to get something going there. Don't throw it to second. God bless it. This is one thing where this game kind of chugs along here, is it's a little slow in the reaction time. Base running's an absolute disaster, but it is what it is. So let's see here. I'm looking at the chat. It's going to go foul. Biggest difference in golf and other sports is that other sports require some sort of natural talent. Golf, if you practice long enough, you'll get good. Being a specialist can't teach you through a night. I believe there's a large degree of truth to that. I do feel like you just can't coach somebody. All right, this is a disaster. All right, well, I got that lucky. You can't coach speed. You can improve somebody's golf game by a matter of 10, 12 strokes if you get a good enough of a teacher. Because it is about timing. And it is. I don't think you are born with the ability to throw at 95 miles an hour. You can't just get strong enough to do that, So, yeah, I agree with that. I'm not taking anything away from golfers and all that stuff. I just think that they have the opportunity to make their game more difficult, more competitive, more like a sport, and they choose not to do so. They make sure you're quiet in the audience, and they allow somebody to carry your bag. It's weak. All right, what else we got there? Someone wants me to really stop and go to the roster to call up Jumbo. I'm telling you, Jumbo Diaz is not going to be the difference maker in this game. Ugliest batting stance? Who was it? Remember, who was it? Chili Davis? Not Chili Davis. God. I don't know. Third baseman for the Red Sox, who got traded to at a nasty one. Held the bat high and it came down. Probably Jeff Bagwell's the ugliest batting stance I've ever seen, but he could hit. What's funny is when a guy has a horrible batting stance and he sucks. That's when it's really funny. Because it's like, when you have a horrible batting stance and you're good, it's like, well, he's got it figured out. But when you look like an idiot and you suck, you really look like an idiot. Look at Hamilton. That's going to be a base hit. Yeah, that's right. Hunter Pence, ugliest stance. Hunter Pence just is an ugly baseball player in general. Chris Davis got 138, but maybe drugs? Who knows? Who would win a fight, Count Chocolate or the Kool-Aid Man? I see that just being a really interesting, lunch meeting. I don't know if that's a fight. Hunter Pence, ugliest stance. Julio Franco. Kevin Worley was 100% correct. That's what I was thinking of. Julio Franco, who also played baseball when he was 90 years old. He played baseball when he was, I'm going to steal all these bases here. He played baseball when he was 47. Like, I hope to be alive when I'm 47. But he was playing baseball, and he was jacked. He was probably roiding it out. Euclid is what I was thinking of as well. Dan Ugla just sucks now. Oh, I thought I was stealing. Oh, the pitch out. Yeah, see, they know what this. What game is this? This is MLB The Show 14. That's right. George Springer. He's the Houston Astros guy, right? Top 5 player. I know a lot about minor league baseball, but I'm not that caught up. We're going to steal. Hamilton's just looking to take one here. Yeah, that's a great jump. No chance. So, yeah, and he short hops it. So, Julio Franco is a legend, yeah. You know, who was the oldest baseball player? It was the pitcher, Moyer. I think Moyer played when he was like 50. So, best worst trades? The Bagwell trade was pretty bad with the Red Sox. The Reds trade was pretty good with Brandon Phillips. Probably the worst trade of all time, not a lot of people talk about. The Reds trade Roberto Kelly for Paul O'Neill. I'm a Reds fan, so I know a lot about those trades. Worst trade of all time was probably the Bagwell trade. I forget who he was traded for, which is the point. But Bagwell, they got like 10 solid years out of like one of the better first basemen in the game. So Hamilton's got to steal third here, even though we have 2 outs. But why not? Babe Ruth. But yeah, but that's, you know. Oh! Well, you never make the third out at third, but, you know, why not? It's a good show. Let's see. Klingon. Phil Niekro. I don't know who he was traded for. I don't know if this is like the old argument or just like Phil Niekro was traded for someone cool. Yeah. So MLB 14, the show, is a game I'm playing, guys. It's this year's baseball game. Today's the trade deadline, stuff and things. So Biff Bagwell was the worst part of Back to the Future. I think that's a bold statement, but I'll allow the gallery to deal with that or to go back. Yeah, Marlins traded Derek Lee to the Cubs for Hee-Seop Choi. But you have to remember, Hee-Seop Choi was a stud. Hee-Seop Choi was a top prospect. So it looks bad now, but you know, you also have to remember too. It's not like the Cubs. Well, the Cubs did almost go to a World Series, but yeah, that's a good trade. Yeah, stacking live. He keeps asking this question. Yeah, this is live. The Wakefield Veritek trade. Yeah, but they got a lot of miles out of Wakefield, though. Yeah, that's the business. So, anyway, let's see. The English Marlins. What do you think of the Red Sox trade today? I think the Red Sox did a lot of really good moves. And I think the Red Sox did a lot of really good moves 2 years ago, too, with the Dodgers trade. You know? A lot of people forget how they basically traded half of their team to the Dodgers. The Dodgers are the beneficiary of that right now, but the Red Sox dumped a lot of money out in that deal. So I think the Red Sox are going to be all right. It's a bit of a fluke year, but, you know, I think they got pretty good value for Lester. I think Cespedes is going to be a monster on that team. So, hey, what's going on? Stuff and things. So, but, yeah, that's my opinion on that stuff. Sorry, Veritek and Lowe for Slocum. Lowe, that's right. Derek Lowe, sinker baller, 6'7", downward plane. They got a lot of miles out of Lowe, but then Lowe started trash talking the end of his career and getting into it with guys. So, Static's trolling, good. Yeah, well, you know, good for him. I took the bait. It's my first day, so it's cold as balls in this room too. I just thought I'd throw that out there. It's a mistake pitch. What about the Cubs trade? Who did the Cubs trade? I feel like the Cubs made a kind of an odd trade. Didn't they pick up like an MLB-ready player or the Samardzija deal? I think what's his name's a good general manager, the Cubs guy who came from Boston. So I think the Cubs are in okay shape. I think they've got some good pieces. I think the guy that they traded for in the Samardzija deal, I don't know, he seems like kind of a toss-up, but freak athlete. But you know, these guys are all young. Who knows with prospects? Indians, yeah, you're talking about the Cologne trade, yeah. Expos got Bartolo Colon and Tim Drew. But Colon was an ace, man. Sometimes you got to give up the house, you know? So, if anything, there's worse trades than that because Colon is still in the league and still a solid player, you know? Yeah, Grady Sizemore was a top center fielder for 3 years, and Phillips is still getting it done, and Cliff Lee was an ace for a ton of years too. But, Yeah, I mean, the point is they probably didn't have to give up that many guys. But what are you going to do, you know? Bonifacio, Samartius, yeah. Hamill. Yeah, so Tinku, thank you very much. He says he follows, or he or she follows nothing about sports but enjoy talking. Well, you know, stuff and things. So check out the site. Someone, wow, damn it. I was wondering what happened there. I guess it skipped. So I wanted them to put a runner on first anyway, just to give you guys a look at the running game. So, yeah. Who do Blue Jays need to trade for to do better? I don't think the Blue Jays have what I like to call ball players. I think Encarnacion, great numbers. I think Batista, great numbers. Pull hitters. Hit them when they count. And a lot of people don't know this. Blue Jays have a high payroll. And and the knuckleballer, I don't think knuckleballers are good come postseason, you know? Like, it's a great gimmick for the year and stuff like that, but you need a guy that can miss bats. I know knuckleballers can miss bats, but yeah, I don't know. I think I don't like the makeup of a team where your two best hitters are dead pull hitters. Encarnacion's a slow pitch softball player. I think Batista isn't far behind, and I really don't like Colby Rasmus. The Cardinals got rid of him like that, you know. So up the middle. Who's their shortstop? Escobar, I think. It's like I don't know. I think he's kind of got attitude problems too. So I don't know a whole lot about the Blue Jays outside of that. But give me ball players, and I'm a Reds guy. I followed Encarnacion rise to the majors. Like, I followed him through the Reds farm system. Always the guy that hacked a lot, not a defensive guy. They moved him to first base. Good for them. But when it comes to baseball, you need guys that get on base. You need guys that miss bats. And I don't really know who they have coming out of the back of the bullpen. But Blue Jays will be fine. But I really think they don't have any guys that are winners. Who have amongst the Blue Jays have been there before, you know? So I don't know. They give up a really good catching prospect to get a knuckleballer. That's all I know. Yeah, he won the Cy Young, but whatever. So I'm going to try to hit a home run here. All right. So let's see. Nolan Ryan, is he an Astro or a dirty scumbag Ranger? It's a Texas question. Look at the Expos Rockies during the strike year in Stanford. Yeah, in 1994, one of the best teams in the history of space and time. Larry Walker, Pedro Martinez, who threw like a perfect game, but it was tied, so it went to extra innings. Not a lot of people remember that. He was perfect through 9 innings. Who else did they have? Those alone, like Larry Walker. God, who was their second baseman? I forget. That's going to be a double play. Look at that flip. Oh, that's fun. Show you guys a little something there. It's not my team, but whatever. Jose Reyes is fine, but he always gets injured. Encarnacion has been a pretty great story. Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, the Reds, they gave up on him to get Scott Rowland. Hi. But I don't know. I mean, yeah, he's leading the league in home runs and all that kind of stuff. But you know what? You can lead the league in home runs, but it still doesn't show how many outs you cause on defense, how many times you don't drive the runner in or at third or move the runner over. And that's the kind of thing that I think is allowing Oakland to win 62 games because they're a team that does that. You know? So when it comes to postseason, it's a different story. But we'll see this year because they went out and got 2 aces. They're like, the hell with that. We're going to win this thing if we have to. I'm going to do a hit and run here, guys. Thought I'd fill you in on this. See if Ludwig can't take one the other way. That's going to be a problem. Yeah. So based off what you were saying and who you're playing as, you're a Reds fan. That's right. So I'm a Reds fan. It's not a good-looking year. The Reds season started with their best pitcher getting hit in the face by a baseball. That is not a good sign. You know it's not going to be a great year when, like, your guy that throws 104 miles per hour gets an 100-mile-per-hour ball to his face. That's not a good harbinger. But, you know, stuff happens. It's saying the website is discontinued or the server. What is this? My site? Which site are you talking about, Telegram? Anyway, Ichiro Suzuki is a legend American, but in Hong Kong is always overshadowed by his cousin, Junichi. Yeah, that could be trolling, but you got me on Japanese baseball. Ichiro was the most popular player in Japan for like 8 years. That I know. So the stadium playing in Houston. That's right. Oh, this is Milwaukee. No, this is Houston. Yeah, I don't know why I'm playing here. Alfredo Simon. Yeah, they picked him up on waivers. Now, that's a great story. You pick a guy up off waivers from Baltimore. Yeah, I mean, he'll come back to Earth, but, you know, I mean, heck, you can't argue with what he's done. So it's saying it's offline. Interesting. Yeah, well, you know, maybe it crashed. You'll have that. So DJ Sketch, if you're on the site, let me know. But, again, the site literally went live yesterday. I've been working on it for a while. Sports, politics, and gaming. I wanted to do stuff. I want to talk about stuff you should know about, like important stuff. Not, you know, I'm not getting paid to do it. I'm not getting any advertising. I'm writing stuff that matters to me. Hopefully it'll matter to you guys. You know, and it's not BuzzFeedy what you should know about bananas. You know, it's, yeah, there's some jokes and stuff on there, but it's meant to get conversations going about how nuts some things in the world are going and to give you information. So that stuff's happening. That's a great pitch to steal on because that's a breaking ball. Yeah, you can steal it. I'm fine with that. League of Legends or Dota 2? I don't know. Everything always has to be one thing or the other. I have much more experience with League of Legends. I mean, the only guy I've ever really played with is Garen. I'm not a big MMO guy or a, MMO or whatever you want.
MOBA.
MOBA, sorry, excuse me. So someone is paying attention. So I'm not a big MOBA guy, as evidenced by the fact that called it an MMO. But, I don't know. Play a lot more Counter-Strike than anything else. The only game I really play online is Counter-Strike and Battlefield 4. But since I've been actively looking for more work, I have restricted my playing. But, you know, whatever. There's always time. Are you going to catch that? You are. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if it's a genuine... I mean, I think enough people in here know the difference between Dota 2 and League of Legends. But, you know, that's my opinion on it. So... whoever did the Mubak, yeah, the site's called stuffshappening.com, so that's the business. Marquise, oh yeah, so here's the 1994 Montreal Expos. Marquise Grissom, yeah, okay, yeah. Moises Alou, yeah. Cliff Floyd, sure. This guy's in their early 20s, yeah. That is correct. I feel like they had a really good closer, too. I'm definitely a league fan. Sure, there you go. So Spagioni says, reminding me of Grantland. Yeah. I just think Grantland is a very popular sports site that's a spinoff of ESPN.com. Grantland's articles are extremely long, and they're a little pedantic for me. To each their own. I mean, it's the most popular sports site on the planet. You know, I'm not going to trash it, but like I enjoyed it. But for me, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to write 4,000-word articles. I don't think anybody on the net. I mean, a lot of people enjoy these specific people and will dedicate their time. But I read an interesting quote once from a CNN columnist named LZ Granderson, who writes some interesting stuff. And he says, if I can't write what I need to say in 800 words, then I'm not saying it correctly. I'm summarizing what he said there. And I 100% agree with that. Some of my things might be a little longer, 800 words, like 900 to 1,000, but not any longer than that. Because in this day and age, when you need to say that much, it becomes too much about you and not about the reader. Write another article. Write a different post. Nobody has enough time in this day and age to write something or read something on the internet that is 4,000 words long. They just don't. There's too much opinion in there, and there's just not enough fact. You could write facts that are 9,000 words long, but then they're not focused. So, again, Grantland, great site, but for me, a little bit too much stuff. And I think, what's his name? Bill, who runs Grantland? The guy that's always on. Bill, what's his name? Bill Simmons. Bill Lander. You know, yeah. Bill Simmons. Bill Simmons runs it. Funny, great writer, funny enough guy, but not my cup of tea. So, but thanks for saying it's a lot like Grantland, because that's a compliment, because that's a very popular site. So I'm just swinging at everything here. What's the score? Nothing. I'm giving you guys a good matchup. Completely agrees. How's the gameplay? So you're talking about the gameplay on MLB The Show 14, which we're playing right now, because today's the MLB trade deadline. I mean, this is just a great. If you like baseball, this is the game. And this is the thing that sells consoles. Everyone likes talking about the console war, which I think is stupid. But if you really want to break it down as to why someone would buy a PS4 instead of an Xbox One, I like baseball. I like playing baseball games. If I want to buy an next-gen console, I have one choice. And it's not like, oh, I'm going to look at the specs, and I'm going to see that one's 1080 and one's 60 frames and another. Nobody really cares about that outside of people on M4G. I really believe that. If you care about that and you really believe it because you think it affects the gameplay experience that much, which obviously it does affect the gameplay, not enough to impact my decision whether or not to buy a game, to each their own, but I really think it's, oh yeah, we're coming in hard here. Can we turn two? what sells consoles isn't graphic comparisons. It's can I play this game on it or not? And that's the business with PS4 and MLB The Show. This game is good enough to where it will encourage people to pay $400 for this console opposed to Xbox One. And Xbox One, I think, doesn't have too many examples of that. Titanfall, sure, yeah. But, you know, first-person shooters, is that game really that much different than what Destiny is going to offer? Probably not. Probably won't even be better than it. You know, so wait your 4 or 5 months, and you'll have Destiny at your doorstep, you know? People don't have a lot of money out there. You know, I don't think Titanfall was a console seller. I really don't. That, and it came with it, you know, and whatever. But the bottom line, gameplay in this game is excellent. If you like baseball, it's for you. If you don't, obviously don't. But, you know, you can sit here and watch me talk about games and sports and stuff and things. So it's 8:30, guys, another 30 minutes and stuff and things. So, Paul, why is Tom Wheeler the champion of the SCC? Can we please ban lobbyists? Yeah. I don't know. I think... Listen, I'm not a politician. I talk about politics, and I have it as part of stuff's happening because I am very interested in global issues and issues that relate to our generation. But we want to ban all these things, and we want to get rid of all these things. And I think instead of trying to get rid of things, we should realize the power of our own substance and our own voices. And I think that can combat a lot of what lobbyists represent. The reason I think a lot of lobbyists are so powerful is because the constituency in a lot of cases is so weak. So if you focus on strengthening the constituency opposed to trying to get rid of something, I think we'd see a lot more positive results. That's great. That's great rhetoric that I just threw out there. What's that mean? I think something as simple as expressing discontent goes a long way. Yes, lobbyists are in a position, they have millions of dollars. You can't fight the money trail. Well, you kind of can. Because presidents, politicians have egos. You don't become president of the United States. You don't become a senator of a state of 20 million people or 5 million people or 10 million people unless you have an ego. The point is, you care what people are saying and think about you. So when you start the conversation and you start buzzing and you start blogging and you start talking amongst your friends at the water cooler and you start saying things as simple as, I don't like them doing that, and you start putting that energy out in that world, that starts going a long way. And I wrote a piece about this on stuffshappening.com about President Barack Obama, as many presidents have done before, came into Los Angeles, and he basically shut the city down for 2 hours. And he didn't need to do that. He came here for a fundraiser to raise millions of dollars. Yes, he stopped at a deli to shake some hands. And yeah, he did a speech at like a technical college. Got it. Presidents doing fundraisers. Presidents have done it before. Got it. But you know what? Los Angeles has Burbank Airport. If you know anything about Los Angeles, Burbank Airport is very much out of the way. Much more out of the way. You know what else Los Angeles has? It has one of the biggest Air Force bases in the world, about an hour away. And that's way out of the way. And guess what Air Force bases are great for? Flying in very powerful people, because they're the most protected areas in the face of the planet. So Barack Obama, instead of flying into Burbank or flying into an Air Force base, flies into Los Angeles International Airport, where planes from France are coming in, where planes from, like I was coming in from Sacramento, so my flight's delayed 2 hours. And the important thing is these are people that are, getting connecting flights that are trying to get business done. People that are, in traffic for 2 hours because the president has to drive through the middle of the city instead of taking another airport. The only reason the president, again, is doing that is because of ego. He wants people to see him. And you know what? You're the president. I guess you can do whatever you want to do, unless the people decide they're not cool with that. When you have options, when you really don't have to be here, you're here to raise money for political campaigns. You're not here to meet with Chinese leaders or local business leaders about how to start, increase job opportunities. You're here to raise money, and you're driving through our business and blowing up our jam when you don't have to be. So the point is, yeah, lobbyists, all that kind of stuff. But if we really, instead of saying, well, he's the president, I guess he can do that. No, he doesn't have to. And when he's doing it for his own personal benefit, we can say, I don't like that. And we can create that energy, and we can start really getting in the way of things. Yes, this is the Secret Service. not saying we have to really, but we can start creating the energy. Like, this isn't cool. We might not vote for the next guy that starts doing this thing to our city when he can fly out of Burbank. And in the article I wrote, this is all on stuffshappening.com. It's called "The President is Not More Important Than You." The reason I can back up, the only reason they're doing it is because of ego. It's because logically it makes no sense to do it otherwise. But a number of presidents, Lyndon B. Johnson's presidential aide said flying into any airport with Air Force One was worth 10,000 votes. So there you go. So Barack Obama doesn't need the votes, but I guess he still wants the attention. I'm going to go to the chat. Stacking says LAX is safer for the president to fly out of. Any safer than an Air Force base? You might know better than I do. You should probably tell the president how busy you are and that he shouldn't hold you up like that. Well, I mean, I understand the president's very busy, but I don't know. I think that Americans doing their small business, going and connecting on flights to go to their meetings, either to sell insurance. Yeah, I do think that's more important than the president going to some party with his Chicago friends and raising millions of dollars. I do think that's more important. It's not about me personally. It's about a collective city of millions of people. It's about people flying in from London, international air traffic. I think what they're doing is more important than the president. That's just my opinion. Now, the president, working diplomatically with Israel, which I hope he's doing, yes, very, very important. It's his effort to move forward. The President of the United States wouldn't be powerful or weren't for the people doing the little things, connecting to flights, doing the little things in the city around him. That's my point. So there we go. So DJ Sketch City, Audi didn't fly into Air Force. Kind of would think it was a security issue flying into a public airport. Well, the point is it's not a security issue if you shut down everything. So anyway, just my opinion on that. Someone said we should ban lobbyists. I think we should, and part of my goal, that could go all the way here. Part of my goal with Stuff's Happening is to create, is he going to catch that? No, that's gone. Yeah, so that's a 3-run dinger. Part of my focus of Stuff's Happening is start creating discussions where we, as millennials, as people 20, 30, 18, 15, can start having conversations where we don't take crap from politicians. Because older generations do, flat out. And we're getting caught up and hung up with some serious debt and some serious bills. And I think it's time that we actually put our foot down with some of this stuff and elect people that don't act like they're higher and mightier than us. And when you drive through my city and cause traffic without any explanation, tell me it's safer to fly out of LAX. I think that's just assumed. I think that's just the business. But anyway, so, all right, so what do we got? If you could watch any movie, Air Force One would be the obvious choice is to watch Air Force One. But I would watch Air Force One. It's a great film. So anyway, so that's my rant on that kind of stuff. So for those just tuning in, we have about 20 more minutes. I think about 15. Playing MLB The Show. It's the trade deadline today. We're talking politics. We're talking sports. We're talking gaming, obviously. Somebody that runs stuff. I run stuffshappening.com. It's a site that focuses on all of those elements. More than welcome to check it out. Let me know what you think. It's a site. There's no advertising. It's all free. I'm just one guy who's writing stuff that I think you should know about. So that's the business. And, yeah, so get off my plane. Yeah, that was the money line. But, yeah, you know who was in that movie and not a lot of people remember is, Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman was the villain, and he was awesome. Let's see. I'd rather have Obama causing traffic rather than giving Comcast unlimited power. Sure. I mean, but that's all. That's the deepest part of the ballpark right there. Yeah. Yeah, I really feel like the Comcast issue is tougher, because that's an oligopoly, and all that stuff, which we'll get into. But I really think we can do more about, it's a democracy where we're electing these people. We should have a control and a say into how they view us. So that's the other. When do you think sports games will have local sportscasters? Sports games will have local sportscasters. Explain yourself. I'm not sure what that means. So, Q Hectic. Am I Republican conservative? I don't really identify with any particular group. I like to, I'm somebody that believes just put the people first. This country's better when you have faith in little communities that form bigger communities, which form states, that will get stuff done. I am not a big fan of politicians thinking that the world revolves around them. And I think that's the world we live in right now. And I think the constituents are to blame for a lot of that stuff. So conservative, Republican, whatever. I don't think we have to put labels on this stuff. Just try to put the best country forward possible that allows us to get out of the problems that we're in. So there you go. What do you think of Mike Trout on Angels this year? Mike Trout's the best player in baseball. He can do everything. Someone asked if I thought he was on steroids. I don't know. I don't know if it really matters. I mean, it probably matters, but he's the best player in baseball because Cabrera's injured this year. He's banged up. But Cabrera's the best hitter in baseball. Trout is, I guarantee you, how do you know who's the best player in baseball? You ask 30 MLB teams, who's your number one pick? I would bet 2/3 of them at least would say Mike Trout. And the rest would say David Price might get in there. David Price would probably be like 3 or 4 teams. I don't know. What do you guys think? Tom Hamilton? I don't know. That's stuff and things. Like you were playing a game progressive. Oh, so this is okay. So Spagioni asked, "Do you think sport games will ever have local sportscasters?" So he says, "If you were playing a game in Progressive Field and we had Tom Hamilton commenting, I don't know what that means. So sorry. Or Jerry Remy and Don Orsillo for the Red Sox, that type of thing." Yeah, I feel like there's local broadcast. Every Major League Baseball team has their own local broadcaster and a local commentator. So I'm not sure. So anyway, so do I think Cleveland's logo and Redskins names are racist? Yeah. So that's a touchy issue. I guess it boils down to, I don't know. I mean, I'm a white guy that's 28 years old. What do I, like, if I say something is and isn't racist, you know what I mean? I think the position we're in this country right now is we don't want to offend anybody, and I think in a lot of cases, obviously for good reasons. But, what it boils down to is having respect for people, and if people, a majority, genuinely feel, and I'm just thinking of this out loud because I really haven't thought about these issues too much because I try to stay away from those arguments or those things because honestly, like they're relatively trite. And honestly, because they don't affect me. I'm a white guy. I don't deal with Native American issues and all that, But I guess I feel like it seemed like a relatively new, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like a relatively new debate where people feel like newly offended by it. And my high school team was called the Braves and all that, and a lot of it seems like it's meant as a sign of respect to be a warrior, and Indians and Braves are warriors. You're recognizing them and you're putting them onto a pedestal. And Redskins, I could see why that would be offensive to a number of people, but at the same time, if a team wants to recognize it as such, you have the choice to not buy their merchandise. You have the choice to not watch their games. You have the choice to not support them and to tell other people to not support them. So I guess I feel like, is it offensive? Yes. But guess what? It was offensive that Kramer went on stage and said a bunch of racist stuff. Well, guess what happened? People said, I don't want to watch this guy anymore. So if the Redskins is really that offensive, I guess people would say, I'm not going to watch this football team. That's my opinion. I don't know. I mean, I can't speak. I have very little credibility in this, but I guess I feel like not the majority of people. That's good a piece of hitting right there. I guess it seems like it's a small group of people that are upset by it, and if we did everything. If we acted according to a small group of people how they wanted, then the world would be a mess, So, but I don't know. I'm just kind of speaking out loud here. So what do we think? I look like a young 38, sure. No one's really commenting on this. So Los Angeles blackface, yeah, sure. So there you go. So that's the modern shortstop is an athletic third baseman. I think there's a lot of validity to that. I think the modern shortstop. Yeah, I think that's entirely true. I think because you are expected to hit for power now. You're expected to have a bat. For those that aren't aware of this, the shortstop used to be a defensive position. Like, who cares if you can hit? Like, I want a guy that can shut down the left side of the infield. And then my third baseman, my power positions, I don't care if they can field. I want them to bat clean up and hit for me. So, one of the first guys to really change that was Cal Ripken, because Cal Ripken was a big guy. Shortstop used to look like second baseman. So Yeah, I mean, you know, shortstops are they're athletic third basemen, but I would say shortstops are they've always been athletic third basemen. Now you're expected to hit. And you're expected to hit for power in a lot of ways. Not always, because again, a good championship team is built up the middle. So you don't always need a shortstop to hit for power. It's not like a requirement anymore. That was a hanger bell at high. Why are we sitting these guys? I guess there's no outs. So is Jeter considered a modern shortstop? Yeah. I mean, he's a modern shortstop because he's 6'4". He doesn't really hit for power. The modern shortstop is Troy Tulowitzki, but there's only like one or two of those guys. But Jeter brought on the reign of what is now the modern shortstop. The guard, is that going to go all the way? I think Votto got it all. Yeah, that's gone. Jeter brought on the generation of the A-Rods, the Garcia Peras. Who else? Barry Larkin, kind of, but he was kind of in a different class. No, he was he was a little earlier than those guys. But that to me is the modern shortstop. So Jeter led that movement. So yeah. All right, I'm heading off to bed. Have a great night. Thanks, Tilla, bro. All right, stuff and things. So the modern shortstop is a curious beast, sure. So I think the modern shortstop, again, it's defense first. If you can't play defense, you will not play shortstop in the major in the major leagues. So in that sense, that's not modern at all. That's just how it's always been. I think the difference is you're seeing these guys take on a little bit more responsibility as guys that can hit the ball to the gaps, or else they'll move you to center field or something like that. You saw that with like a Billy Hamilton. So, but first and foremost, it's still a defensive position no matter what, because you just can't, in the way baseball is today, you can't have a good defense with the bad shortstop. And it doesn't care how well he can hit. There's too many right-handed hitters that hit the ball to the left side of the infield. So, and there's too many slow-pitch softball players playing third base. They need a good shortstop to make up for it. So, and that's stuff not a lot of people know about because if you just watch games on TV, that's the deepest part of the field. This will be interesting here, huh? Wow. You have to be at games to see that kind of stuff, but whatever. So, if Jeter was on the Royals his entire career, do you think people would be worship him like they do now? No, but he's on the Yankees, so there you go. So, but I mean, he's a very good player. But who knows if he wouldn't have had Bernie Williams for 4 years, if he wouldn't have had, Tino Martinez, all those guys sitting around him. Who knows? But the point is Jeter is a Yankee, and that's why he's a legend. So look at a guy like I don't know. I don't know who he compared to, but that cuts both ways too. I mean, that's the hardest market to play baseball in. It's the hardest team to play for. There's more pressure. The fans are, very bipolar. So, yeah, we're going to – Ludwig's going to leg this one out. Look at that. That's a squeaker at first. Is the Gold Glove the weakest MLB award now? Yeah. The Gold Glove is just a sellout. You win one, you win like 9 of them. So, the only award that's worth its salt is a ring. So, and I think most of these ball players – would agree with that. Silver Slugger's fine and dandy. Silver Slugger is the award they give out to the guy who has the top batting average at his position. Batting titles, all great. But, there's so many stats of just like, got a guy on second, how many times you move him over to third. Batting average doesn't account for that, and I really think that's the makings of a great team. And, yeah, you might have had the highest batting average of a player at your position, but guess what? You don't have the range, and you gave up a lot of potential hits because you couldn't get to a ball because you're a step slower than somebody else. So who cares about your batting average when you're giving up more hits in the field? So what else? Am I going to play RTTS? Not me personally. They might be playing that after that. I think they're playing League of Legends after this. So stay tuned. So he would have been treated more like Ichiro. Well, Ichiro was something of play ball. That's right. Ichiro was something of a phenomenon in that he was a Japanese guy who had already proven himself overseas, and he was really the first Japanese player to transition to MLB, and it was like, okay, well, let's see how good these guys really are. And, yeah, I mean, if you were in Seattle, you knew the business, but I don't know. I mean, Ichiro just had played, 6-7 years in Japan before coming over here. and having like a really solid 8-9 year career. So it could have been a different story if he would have played 17 years like Jeter did, or how many years he played in the States. So who knows? He could have had similar numbers, but, you know, who's to say? But Ichiro's a hell of a player, I'll say that much. I saw him play once, and fastest guy I ever saw with a cannon of an arm. Not a lot of people give him enough credit for that. Hell of a defensive right fielder. This is a gapper right here. That should be a double, but my guy's just, I guess, fine with the single. Puig, a jerk or misunderstood. Reading comments in the chat here. If they're hitting out to win a Gold Glove, you can start hitting. Yeah, and they also factor in Gold Glove into the batting average in the Gold Glove. Puig, a jerk or misunderstood. I think who cares if a guy's a jerk in baseball? I think the real question isn't jerk, misunderstood. I think it's like reckless player or winning ball player. Speaking of winning ball player, that's a stolen base here. You know, I was a little divided because I watch a lot of Dodger games. I live in LA. Puig is a guy that when he first came up, he was out of control because he'd like walk and he'd flip his bat. And in baseball, like class is like everything, and especially when like you walked. Okay, you did it. When you flip your bat after a walk, like I was like, this guy is nuts. But you know what? Like he's turned into just an all-around ball player, comparable to Trout. So jerk, misunderstood. I don't know the guy. But reckless ball player or winning ball player, he's the kind of guy you could build a franchise around right now. He's like a lot of guys were all over Bryce Harper when he first came up. Bryce Harper's the opposite. I don't think Bryce Harper's a winning ball player because the guy plays like an idiot. He plays the game hard, but the guys you got to watch out for. And I think Puig, yeah, he's a little reckless, but at the same time, he gets away with it because I still think he has the instincts. Oh, we're going to do a squeeze. This is not fortuitous. I have a 7-run lead, so that's okay. Do you think LeBron getting traded was because they lost the series? Well, Neko's question. LeBron voluntarily left and signed a 2-year deal with Cleveland. So he didn't get traded. He voluntarily left. The Heat would love to have him. I wrote about this on my site, stuffshappening.com. I'm from Ohio, and that's literally the only thing I have in common with LeBron James, and that's a stretch, but I am. So LeBron James had every team he literally could have gone to, basically, and he went to Cleveland, and people are like, well, because he felt guilty because he left them before. I don't know LeBron James at all. I don't know too many professional athletes, but I do know this much. I don't think professional athletes feel a lot of guilt for sport fans because they know sport fans most of the time are just Yahoo drunks. So I don't think he felt guilt. What I do think he felt, when you grow up in Ohio, you don't have a whole lot going for you. It's a fine enough state, but your sport teams usually suck. Like there's really no professional sport team that are winning or championships, particularly in Cleveland. So I do think he genuinely, that he grew up a Cleveland fan. He grew up in Ohio, a Buckeye, that's never really tasted what it's like for his team to win a championship. So I think he genuinely wants to feel that and wants to bring a championship home to his home state. And he tried it once before, and I don't think the situation was right. 1 minute remaining in the show, but I think he had a better opportunity in Miami, so he went and he wanted to just get a ring. Now he's tasted the champagne, and I do think, let's be honest, I do think Cleveland offers the best chance. He could have gone, I guess, to Houston, but what do they have? Dwight Howard, who's old, and Harden, who's fine, but I mean, he's got the best point guard in the game now in Cleveland, and he's got some young studs. So let's call it like it is. He's got an opportunity to really win there, and he did a 2-year deal. It's very safe, and you know what? He gets the chance to go home, bring home a championship, which I do think he probably generally cares about. I know nothing about the guy, but I know being from Ohio, you're curious to feel what it's like to have your hometown team win a championship because we've never felt that. Brady's from Ohio, he knows the business. King, we got to go. King Griffey Jr. was soft, and I think towards the end of his career, he tailed off. Guys, Paul Nyhart, thanks for tuning in. Game over. That's